Hello, I'm Brandi Iberia with Jammin' 98.3, keeping you in the know in our community. Today, I have the amazing opportunity to chat with Robert Petkoff. He plays Harold in Moulin Rouge, the musical. And now, Moulin Rouge is the winner of 10 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. I actually got to see it last night at the Marcus Performing Arts Center. And honestly, I was blown away. So Robert, I almost want to just call you Harold because that's where I felt the connection. But I want to connect with Robert as well. Thank you for being on with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love talking about my show.
Oh my goodness, yes. So I'm not sure where to begin. Maybe let's start with where you originate from and how you connected to the production.
You know what? My father was in the Air Force, so I've lived all over the United States. But I've been in New York now for the past 30 years, so New York is definitely home. And I remember I saw the production on Broadway when it was in previews before COVID shut everything down.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember watching it, and a friend of mine, Danny Burstein, was playing this role on Broadway. He won the Tony Award for it. And I remember watching it, going, "Oh, that would be a lot of fun to play that role." And sure enough, 2 years later, or maybe more than 2 years later, I was invited to audition for this tour, and happily here I am.
And happily here you are in Milwaukee. And so the show has been running. What was the opening night? What date was that? That was
We began last Tuesday, or
Oh,
this
last
past
Tuesday. And we were just saying, kind of offline, that it ends this coming Sunday. Well, actually, next Sunday, I believe it's the
week from
26th.
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys definitely want to get out to see this amazing production, and we'll talk a little bit more about the production, about the cast. I want to hear what your favorite scene is. But before we do that, let's get a little more deep, or a little deeper into Kevin, or not Kevin. That's who I just talked to.
Yeah.
Hi, Kevin Gaglinto. But Robert, let's talk a little bit more about who you are and what you do. I mean, you have an extensive resume from ragtime all the way, anything goes. I think our listeners would also love that you also, I guess, made an appearance on the Chappelle Show,
Oh
Law
yeah.
and Order. Yeah.
I was
So
gonna say
tell us a
Chappelle
little
Show is
bit
probably the
about
one
you.
that when people look at me kind of weird, or they say, "Did you go to such and such school?" I'm like, no, but have you seen the Chappelle Show?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "The racial draft," and it was funny because that
Qualified.
show
Yeah.
briefly was, Bill Burr, who's now this giant comic, was up and coming, and Dave Chappelle. So getting to work on that was a lot of fun. But it sort of goes into this too. It's like it's working in comedy, and Harold is a very funny character. I mean, I should say I hope he's a very funny
Oh,
character.
yeah.
I
I
get
was
to play him.
laughing.
But it's those little things have all sort of led, all those little jobs within comedy have led me to this point. I never thought I would be a musical theater actor. I think in high
Oh,
school I did some musicals, and I thought, oh, that's fun. But when I got out of college, I just did straight plays for the longest time, and I sort of fell backwards into doing musicals when a director I had worked with said, "Hey, I'm doing this show, and I'd like to see if you want to do it." And I took the leap and did Sunday in the Park with George, which was a very difficult musical. But
yeah.
once I did it, I thought, oh, I would like to try this. And fortunately, this dream that I never really thought would happen, it did. And here I am doing musical theater now. I've done 5 Broadway shows,
Wow.
and TV, like you mentioned. And so
Yeah.
I have to say I'm very grateful that I've had the career that I've had. I'm very lucky.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And I love what you said. And I'm sure people will be inspired by that because sometimes where you start is not necessarily where you're going to finish, especially when you're kind of on this kind of upward climb to whatever this top is. And I always say that I've actually heard a quote years ago that says, "Despise not humble beginnings." But I kind of changed it and made it my own and said, "Despise not a change of stage." Because sometimes you have an idea in your mind, this is what I'm going to do. But
Absolutely.
if you kind of release that it has to be this way, you'd be surprised where you'll end up. And sometimes it could be one of the, or possibly one of the most magical places that you could ever imagine.
Oh,
And Moulin
absolutely.
Rouge is a magical place. Would you
It's
agree?
It's so much fun. It's so fun to be in a show that audiences love so much. And I've
Yes.
done shows where the audience has been like, I'm not sure what's going on here, and so you can see that they get quieter, they don't quite respond. But Moulin Rouge, without a doubt, every city we go to, the audiences respond so well to it. I mean, it's a classic love
Yeah.
story, but it also has some good drama to it, and of course over 70 pop songs that everyone knows that they've heard all their lives. And so that's really special because as as the songs start coming out, we can see the audience sometimes, and you can see people in the audience going, oh, that one, I know that one. Or the biggest one I see is this: they'll look at their partner and they'll just go, that's
Exactly.
so
No, I
good.
love that, and then the fact that you said that because literally that was me last night. And it's so funny because my mom was with me as well, and she knew some of the songs. She was like, "Brandy, how do you know all the songs in this musical?" And so it was kind of a new adaptation of Moulin Rouge in a way, using kind of new music to tell the story. And so maybe talk about the differences
Yeah,
from the traditional Moulin Rouge
I
and
was
what
gonna say the film was in 1999, I think,
yeah,
or 2000, and when they came to do the musical, when they came to work on the musical, they said, well, we could use all the music from that show if we wanted to, if we can get the rights
mhm,
again and all that.
yeah.
But since we're doing it at the time, it was 2000, gosh, 19 or 2018.
Sure.
Uh, Actually, it started developing before that. But at the time, they were like, well, why not try to find pop songs that are now? Because that was 20 years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
over 20 years ago. And so they did. They got the rights to, we've got Rihanna, we've got Sia, Adele, the Rolling Stones, Elton
Andre
John.
3000 or is it
Andre
5000?
3000. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes on and on and on. CeeLo. So
Yeah, right, right.
there's so many great songs, and they span decades, different decades. You got some
Mhm.
80s, you got some 90s, you got some 70s, and so it's really fun. And it's fun to sing. Like I get to sing a song by Sia,
Yeah.
and uh, and it's a song I would never have expected I would get to sing on a stage, but it's
Right.
really
Oh, right.
fun.
1, 2, 3, drink.
Yeah, Chandelier.
Oh,
And
oh my God, so amazing. And so just in case, I mean, I've seen Moulin Rouge prior to watching it yesterday. But there are some people, believe it or not, who have not
yes,
seen this amazing production. And just in case, maybe just kind of share with them a little bit of the storyline. Like, where is
sure.
it? It's set in Paris. Tell us a little bit about the production.
Yeah. It's 1899 in Paris. The
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge is a nightclub, but it's this experience as well. It's where the bohemians mix with the aristocracy. And of course, there's a nightly
Mm,
show. The Can goes on every night, which at its time was very risque and very out there. I play Harold Ziedler, who runs the Moulin Rouge, but he's not doing it very well. And it's kind of going down.
yeah.
Financially, he's not a genius. His star, Satine, is also a courtesan, and so he is hoping that she can seduce the Duke, who has all the money, to help invest in the Moulin Rouge and keep going. And
Okay.
that would normally be their great plan. They could do this thing. But unfortunately for Harold, this young man from America comes in named Christian and immediately falls in love with Satine, and Satine
She's
starts to feel the same
irresistible.
way. And so they have this beautiful romantic love story with the complication of Satine is trying to help Harold keep this club alive and
Mm,
keep their family together, the family of performers and people.
mhm.
And so she is stuck in between these two worlds of what do I do to help my family and what do I do for love? What do I do for
Mhm.
myself?
Oh
And
my
it's
goodness.
beautiful and it's fun and funny and heartbreaking and it's got
Oh,
everything.
you said it. You hit all of the adjectives that my heart was just kind of oozing out. And it's so well done. And so from the songs that are working around that story to the lighting was just spot on, spotlight here. It was perfect. And I don't want to give away some of the other exciting things that'll happen real time while you're there, but
Yeah.
it was really just a moving adaptation of this amazing musical. And so let's talk a little bit more about Harold and why did you decide to go for this role? Well, you kind of talked about seeing another cast person years ago perform it, and that was a part of that inspiration. But let's talk a little bit more about Harold and what we can expect from him if we come out
Yeah.
to
I
see it.
mean, he's such a great character because he's got a heart of gold, but he's also kind of a grifter.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a con man, and a
Mhm.
father figure for Satine.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so appealing about him is because he's not just one thing.
Hmm.
Um, at the very base of it, he's this guy who's desperate to keep this place going.
Yeah.
And so he does certain things that we might go, oh, please don't talk to her like that, or please don't.
Right.
But it's all out of this desire and this desperation to keep this going, keep this up. But
Mhm.
he's funny and charming and
Mhm.
witty and dry. And so for an actor, as you watch that, you're like, oh yeah, I really want to take a shot at playing that at that
Yeah.
role. And it's very satisfying. I keep saying to people who see the show, they go, "Oh my God, we loved it so much," and I say, "Thank you," because I'm having so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
That it's always nice to hear people say they are enjoying that, and I
Oh my
really
God.
am. I've been doing it now for 7 months,
Mhm.
and am signed for a year, but I could do this forever. It just so much fun to do. And again, the audience response to it is so satisfying. I said to someone the other night when the lights went out
Mhm.
and the audience just broke into this cheer and this screaming that they do. I
Yeah.
said to them later, I said, really, really appreciate this right now because not every show has this gigantic wave of sound that comes at
Yes.
the end. People are so moved and so they've had such a good time that they just spontaneously just roar at the end
Mhm.
and say, "God, I loved that." And it's really such that wave of sound that comes to you in the dark is so
Yeah.
it's like, this is great.
You're right. This is what we do it for, as an artist on a stage. And as you talked about Harold, I was just thinking about, you said how you connected to the character. And I was just thinking about how, just as an audience member, I can connect to Harold as well in being a person that, wants to make it work. And I think a lot of us can relate to that wherever we are in our own lives. What is it that we're trying to make work? Is it our family? Is it our work life? Is it our relationships? Is it my sanity? And what do I
Exactly.
have to do? Yeah, what do I have to do? And what am I willing to risk to make sure that it goes forward? And so you see that unfold. So again, so beautifully. I almost don't have the words. You just have to see it. And so, what is your favorite scene that you
Oh
get
my
to
gosh. You
perform?
know,
Yeah,
it varies. I would say it varies night to night.
yeah.
I love my scenes with Satine. We
Mhm.
have so much fun playing with each other. We like to change it up nightly and go with that. But there's definitely a scene where things get very precarious,
Mhm.
and Harold has to explain that if you can't do this thing, this all falls apart.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it gets very intense, and then at that moment it's also revealed that something horrible has been happening to Satine, and so it's great because as an actor I get to go from this place of just like, what are you doing, we've got to do this thing,
Mhm, mhm.
to suddenly his entire world is changed and the rug has been pulled out from underneath him, and we play every night just a little differently in how we do that, and it's just so fun to be alive on stage, to not, this is how it will go every night, because that's
Mm.
death for a show, and it's death
Mhm,
for an audience, because an
mhm.
audience can tell, oh, I'm seeing a cast that's got a little tired, that's been good,
Yeah.
that we're at, I think, performance 870 something now,
Jeez.
since the tour began. I haven't done all those, but there have been that many, and it's been very easy for a cast to go, okay, we're just going to go through the numbers and we're going to do our thing. But what I love about this, the creative company that put it together, the people that support us, the people that come out and direct us and guide us and do all this, they are very attentive and they're very good about coming out and constantly giving us adjustments and notes. And as a result, the cast itself, their affection for the show is very evident because we change it, we keep it alive every night.
Mhm.
We don't want an audience to ever come and see the show and go, they were kind of just marking through it. They were kind of
Yeah.
walking through it.
No.
This cast can't do that. And they just,
Yeah.
I think the performers they've hired are just fundamentally incapable of I'll just do this move here, but they're
Right.
just, I mean, they're watching the dancers every night is so exciting for me because I am not a dancer. And it's so fun to watch these people do what they can do with their bodies.
Yes.
It's so beautiful and exciting and scary at times. And so, yeah, it's just thrilling to be a part of it. And again, as I've heard over and over, it's thrilling to watch.
Oh my God. Bravo. That's all I have to say. Encore. And so, as we wrap up, if you're in the city of Milwaukee, you have to get out to this production. Robert, share with us again, how long is it running, and anything else that you kind of know about the last few shows that we can catch.
Yeah, we're performing Tuesdays through Sundays.
Mhm.
Monday is our day off. Tuesdays through I think every evening show is 7:30 at night.
Mhm.
There are two shows on Saturday and two shows on Sunday. A 2 o'clock matinee on Saturday, a 1 o'clock matinee on Sunday. And I think Sunday night is a 6:30 show. But
Okay.
we're going to go through this Sunday and through next Sunday. Um, I would say it is such a treat to sit in the audience of Moulin Rouge. This is what I've heard over and over for people who've seen the movie, for people
Yes.
who've seen the musical to come see it again,
Mhm.
and for people who have never seen anything. I love. Someone told me the other night. They go, "We did not expect the ending. We thought something
Yeah.
different would happen." And it's great to hear people who are seeing it for the first time. But everyone that has seen it has said the same thing, that this was an evening they wish they could live over again, to
Mhm.
experience it for the first time. But I've also got to say, so many people in so many cities are like, okay, this is the fourth time I've seen it this week. And I'm like,
I'm
wow,
absolutely going again.
love it.
I'm absolutely going again. Well, my goodness, Robert, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I'm absolutely going to see it again. And I have a special surprise for anyone that's watching right now or listening between now and tomorrow. The Marcus Performing Arts Center and Broadway Across America, they're inviting you to utilize a special code. And this is going to give you a discount to see the upcoming shows that are left for Moulin Rouge, the musical. You'll use the code word Love WJMR and you will receive 40% off
Ooh,
select seats. Y'all, this is a deal like none other. I'm going back. I'm bringing more friends and family. You got to meet Robert and a few of the other folks in another interview that I did, but you want to see this firsthand. So get down to the Market Center. I'll make sure that I put the link in our bio and in our captions so that you can connect. Robert, thank you so much for being with us today. Any parting words before we let you go?
just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. Any opportunity I get to talk about this great show is such a thrill for me because I do love it so very much.
Oh my goodness, it's
And I
been an
think you will
absolute
too.
pleasure. Oh my goodness, thank you. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us. And you guys keep it locked to WJMR Jammin' 98.3. You can hear me every morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. It's your girl, Brandi Iberia, keeping you in the know in our community.